Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa and Internet World. How we doing on a Wednesday? Wow, the Mondayest Wednesday ever right here on July 5th. Welcome into the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. We are a proud part of the BamaCentral.com broadcasting network. I'm Joe Gaither. You guys are the listener. Y'all follow me at Joe Gaither6 on the Twitter machine, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can find the show wherever you find your social medias right there at Joe Gaither6. We want to encourage you guys to listen to the show on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, and Audible as well. Just search up the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, and you'll be able to find it right there. Want to tell you about our other podcast on the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network. Our friends, our brothers and sisters that are All Things Bama. All Things Bama, hosted by Austin Hannon and Katie Wyndham, putting out new episodes weekly. And we have our friends Blue Collar Unplugged with Blake Byler, Matthew Gibson, and Jacob Pickle on Blue Collar Unplugged. So really encouraging you guys to listen and download our other Bama Central podcasts. I appreciate everybody jumping in and joining us today. We're hopefully going to have a fun show today. I think it's going to be a fun show today. I hope so for all the listeners' sake. First off, I want to tell you big thanks to Caden Jones. Oh, let me stop that. Big thanks to Caden Jones for joining us yesterday on the show. If you missed Caden Jones, we had him, 2024 linebacker out of Arden, North Carolina, joined the show for right about 35 minutes and really got to know him. I thought a nice initial conversation with Caden Jones. Got to talk to him about his recruitment and kind of his goals. Obviously, he's played all over the map up there for High School up there in Arden, North Carolina. Looking forward to seeing what he will do for this Alabama 2024 class. So if you missed that conversation, you can look at it. It was yesterday's episode, all the places that I just outlined: YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, all those places. You can find yesterday's episode with our friend Caden Jones. Before we jump into today's episode, I'll let you know that tomorrow I'll be joined by Giles Amos. Giles was a tight end for the University of Alabama from 2016 to 2019. He played his final year at Arkansas State after graduating, after getting that Alabama degree. So Giles Amos was a part of a national championship team and really a part of the recent era of the Alabama Crimson Tide. So we will look forward to talking to Giles tomorrow on the program. We'll get his thoughts about Alabama's tight ends. We'll talk about his career, and we'll talk really about the Alabama 2023 season. I think the tight ends are going to be used heavily in 2023 with what you've got with CJ Dupree, Danny Lewis, Robbie Oots. You've got all kinds of talent in the tight end room. Mari Nyblack and Miles Kitzelman as well. And I honestly expect to see a little of Ty Lockwood as well, the true freshman. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from my man Giles Amos tomorrow on the program. I hope you all had a happy 4th of July. I hope everybody had a safe 4th of July. No fingers missing. Everybody enjoyed the fireworks. All the puppies and animals and veterans made it through the night very peacefully. We hope so. We're here. We are. We're 3 weeks away from SEC Media Days. We're a couple of weeks away from SEC Media Days up in Nashville, and I'm really looking forward to getting up there and maybe talking to some of the Alabama contingent. But what are we gonna do today? What are we gonna do on July 5th? We're gonna talk about Brandon Miller's Summer League debut. We're gonna talk about Jim Wells a little bit. We're going to talk about Jim Wells. We're going to talk about Mohamed Wague. We'll talk about JQ, and we'll just see where else the day takes us. So Brandon Miller was in his summer league debut on Monday night, and really it was our old friend Avery Johnson. It was a tale of two halves. So Brandon Miller's first half looked terrible. Let's just be honest. Brandon Miller's first half was really not that good. So he was 6 turnovers, finished the night with 7 fouls. His first half was very bad. And then really he scored 12 of his 18 points. He finished the day with 18 points, 5 of 11. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. Look, the social media machine went crazy on Monday night because of Brandon Miller, because of really the first half. The first half was bad, and I'll be honest, it was bad. But come on, people. Hello, Julian. Thank you so much for your comment. Roll Tide as well. Oh, come on, people. Brandon Miller in one half, you're gonna basically say, oh, he's a bust. I saw a lot of Auburn fans basically saying picking up right where he left off. Obviously, the bad NCAA tournament game against San Diego State. But come on, Brandon. You're going to have to first give him a little bit of time. That's the first thing. Give him just a little bit of time to to assimilate into the NBA game. Second, it's just summer league, guys. That's all it is. It's just summer league. It's no big deal. There's no real reason for us to. There's no real reason for us to overreact to the Summer League performance that it was. First off, you get 10 fouls in Summer League. Second off, you weren't even playing with the full roster, the Hornets roster. You throw in, basically, you throw out the number one pick with a bunch of scrubs. So I feel like it's overblown. I feel like it's overblown to judge Brandon Miller's game. Based off the summer league output. Spurs Hornets, yes, they were box score. Yeah. All right, so he finishes up, 18 points, the 3 of 7 from the 3-point line, and then in 34 minutes worth of play. But look at the guys he's playing with. The only guy of note is Nick Smith Jr., the other fellow first-round pick, who also kind of had a difficult game, 4 turnovers, 12 points. He was 1 of 5 from the 3-point line. So, come on. First off, we all knew that the Hornets were not good. We all knew that the Hornets were not a good, but let's all take it all into, let's realize what it was on Monday night. What it was on Monday night was not the full complement of the Hornets roster. Was not even close to the full complement of the Hornets roster. Basically, if you're not following Summer League, if you're not watching Summer League because you never have before, because there has been no reason to watch Summer League without Alabama players in it, I understand that. I get that. But basically, this is just exhibition. These guys are going out there trying to find their footing, trying to really get up to speed, find the speed of the NBA game. And, okay, you're playing against the San Antonio Spurs, who likely have the best farm system in basketball. Yes, I know that the Spurs had a terrible, awful year. So bad enough that it enabled them to get the number 1 overall pick, Victor Wembanyama. But the Spurs have a great roster and a great farm system. The Spurs on the bottom end, they're always developing talent, developing players, a lot like the Miami Heat. So when you play the Spurs in Summer League, or if you're playing the Miami Heat in Summer League, you know that you're going to get really good effort from the franchise. Like the Spurs and the Heat, they're going to be those teams that give you great effort every single time they play. That's just the way. It's just the fabric of the franchises, whether they're starters or not. And so on Tuesday, was it Tuesday? Yeah. On Tuesday, they ended up playing first night at Summer League, and the Hornets lost big time. They were down 32-11 at the end of the first quarter. Basically, the Spurs came out and daddy smacked them right in the first quarter. Yes, Brandon had a little bit to do with that. Not really playing very well in the first half of the game. Let's see. He ended up with 6 points in the first half. Just an ugly first half. 6 points, 6 fouls. Yes, they give you there's the example. They give you 10 fouls in Summer League to kind of let you find your footing and let you find your way. So, look, am I worried about Brandon Miller's performance on Monday? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No way. Am I worried about Brandon Miller at all? You're just going to work your way into the new league. You're going to work your way onto a new team. And most of the players that he's playing with right now in Summer League won't be on the roster, won't be on the Hornets roster going forward. So he's going to be playing with much more competent, much more capable teammates. A lot of his turnovers were passing the ball into the post and really getting it intercepted. He had a handful of turnovers where he was dribbling and got it pickpocketed and left the ball behind. So Brandon's going to be better, and Brandon will perform at a higher level going forward. I'm very confident in it. I'm confident in it. Why? Because I saw Brandon over the course of 35 games, whatever it was last year for Alabama. Yeah, you had a couple bad games, and yeah, you had a couple supersonic, amazing games. I'm thinking about the South Carolina 40-point performance. But you throw out the extreme good and you throw out the extreme bad, and what do you have in the middle? What do you have most often? A really, really damn good player. Really damn good player. And so, look, to have him go out there and maybe struggle in the first 20 minutes of his NBA career. I mean, honestly, the summer league stats don't even the summer league stats don't even count going forward. So I think that the performance on Monday or on Tuesday night really was. It was Monday. It wasn't Tuesday. Why am I getting? Yeah. Okay. My calendar across the top is telling me it was Monday night that I watched that, not yesterday. But the Hornets are coming back out tonight. The Hornets are playing tonight, 5 o'clock. They're playing out in Sacramento, and they're playing the Warriors. You're gonna get a chance. If you have NBA League Pass, you'll be able to see it, but you won't see it on Big Boy TV. We'll have to keep up with Brandon Miller's performance on the social media machine. And look, I expect everything to go well for Brandon going forward. You just sometimes it's going to take a second, and to have the overreaction. It was a massive overreaction on social media from the first half. Ha ha ha! Brandon Miller, such a bust. Ha ha ha! Brandon Miller, you must not really be a shooter. Lots of gun jokes. Lots of firearm jokes made at Brandon Miller's expense at halftime, and then once you come out and finish the night with 18 points, and not really a bad night, not really a good night, kind of just meh. I think that those jokes dissipated, and a lot of people basically went quiet. A lot of people went quiet once he had a good second half, and it just goes to show people are just waiting, ready to pile on Brandon Miller, to pile on anybody. It's not. I don't think it's a Brandon Miller thing, and I don't really think it's an Alabama thing. A lot of people talk about Alabama fatigue. I don't really know that it's that. I think it's just an opportunity to crack a cheap joke. I think people like to crack cheap jokes, and if you haven't paid attention to the whole Brandon Miller saga, you may not realize just the self-defense nature. You may not realize the self-defense nature, and you may not realize Brandon Miller's level of involvement was minimal at best on that evening. Again, anytime we talk about the tragedy, our thoughts are with Jamia Harris and her family, but I think that Brandon Miller, his story is going to continue for many, many years, and I'm looking forward to seeing him continue in summer league. Now, for those of you who are looking to see the Spurs, looking to see Victor Wembanyama, that he didn't get a chance to play against Brandon Miller. You're going to see that on Saturday. On Saturday at 8 p.m. On Saturday at 8 p.m., the Spurs and Hornets will play again, and you'll be able to see Victor Wembanyama this time. And they've said that Victor is going to make his summer league debut on Saturday, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that, because all I've seen is highlights from his time in France, and really just want to see how his game's going to translate into the NBA. Because look, at 7'5", 7'4", super skinny, super long, great handles, but we're going to have to find out how his game will translate into the NBA. All right, let's keep it rolling on the Joe Gaither Show with more basketball talk, breaking news, real actual news, Alabama basketball news today. Mohamed Wague actually commits to the University of Alabama. We teased it on Monday's program. We teased it kind of over the weekend that Mohamed Wague was going to be the newest transfer portal target after Javon Quinterly goes into the transfer portal, last Sunday. And so Nate Oates identifies a possible replacement. No, it's not a one-for-one replacement, as Mohamed Wague is more of a center power forward player at 6'10". 6'10". What do I have him listed at? 6'10". Oh, I've got so many tabs open. 6'10", 225-pound forward, and he is a load. I said on Monday, his film looks kind of like looks a little bit like Keon Ambrose Hilton to me, but it looks like a more polished Keon Ambrose Hilton. If you remember Keon Ambrose Hilton from 2 seasons ago, only played here 2 years, freshman and sophomore year, and then transferred out, was a big body guy, 6 foot. He looks like Mohamed Wague. Looks like a dunker. He looks like a Keon Ambrose Hilton with a little more body control. He looks like a Keon Ambrose Hilton who is a bit more athletic and a bit stronger, has better hands. Now, Keon Ambrose Hilton was always good for a nice dunker too, but I think Mohamed Wague is going to get some minutes here. You look at the roster, you look at what he's done last year at West Virginia. He puts in, 28 games or so. He plays in 10 minutes a game. He averages 4 points. We've gone over the numbers. But what does it really mean for Alabama? You look at Alabama really from the time that, from May 22nd. From May 22nd, On May 21st, Alabama is expecting to have Nick Pringle, Mohamed Diabate, Sam Walters, and Charles Bediako basically returning to the team and making up the contents of the next year's front court. What happens? May 22nd, Chuck decides to go into the transfer portal. And I didn't even mention Chuck's game on Monday. Chuck played well. Chuck played okay in Summer League. Let's see. I'll go back to that. Yeah, real quick. His numbers were not bad. He came in off the bench. Where was my box score? My box score was right. Oh, you're so bad at this, Joe. Why don't you get good at this? Okay, Charles Bediako, in his couple of minutes of play, came off the bench, 12 minutes of play, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. He did have 3 turnovers and 5 fouls, so wild hands, Charles Bediako. But look, you look on May 21st, and you're thinking, okay, we're going to be set at the front court position. Why? Because of Chuck basically coming back and anchoring the front court. Chuck's going to get he's probably going to get 30 minutes a game if he had come back here to play at the Capstone. But that wasn't the case. So instead, Charles leaves. You're left with Nick Pringle, who we like here on the program, and we like here in Tuscaloosa. And you're left with 2 freshmen, Mohamed Diabate and Sam Walters. Now, Diabate has already had knee surgery. They say he's going to be ready for the start of the year, but it doesn't mean he's going to be 100%. You cannot go into the season with Nick Pringle and Sam Walters being basically your front court players. We get destroyed. You get destroyed in the SEC. You'll get destroyed in the non-conference schedule that Nate Oates has already put up, but you'll get destroyed in the SEC if you're gonna go into the season that way. Nate Oates knew that. Nate Oates says, okay, what are we gonna do? Let's go into the transfer portal and we'll find our friend Grant Nelson. Now, Grant Nelson and Charles Bediako kind of have similar, just pathways per se. They both wanted to go into the NBA. They both entered their name into the NBA draft, but Grant Nelson didn't really like what he heard from the NBA scouts and said, I'm going to go back to college. I'm going back to college. I'm going to improve my game. Let me go find a school. Let me go find a program, a playing style that accentuates my talents, and gets me into the NBA. So, boom, you bring in Grant Nelson, an upperclassman, somebody who's really, I think, is going to be a great player for Alabama. I think he's going to really be a cornerstone piece to this year's team. You bring in Grant Nelson, and you say, okay, now you're feeling a little better. You go out and you convince Jaron Stevenson to reclassify into the 2023 class. And so, boom, now you've added 2 players, and then on top of that, you go out and get Mohamed Wague after the Bob Huggins kind of debacle, after the Bob Huggins flame out up there in West Virginia. Their roster is in a state of flux after his firing, after his resignation. So Mohamed Wague becomes available, and now on July 5th, your front court is looking like Grant Nelson, Nick Pringle, Jaron Stevenson, Mohamed Wague, Sam Walters, Mohamed Diabate. Like now I'm really excited. Now I'm really excited about this year's front court. And now, look, you've got people who say, Joe, you always love Alabama basketball. You're always excited. Yes, that is true. I'm always pumped for Tide Hoops. I cannot wait for it to return. But I think that these six players that you've now got in the front court provide you with enough depth in case you get in foul trouble. Nick Pringle is a little bit physical. Diabate and Sam Walters, freshmen, will get into foul trouble. Jaron Stevenson will get into foul trouble. You don't want them to, but that's just what will happen. I think that you were walking into the new season with great depth now that you've got Grant Nelson, Jaron Stevenson. You look through, you can put Grant Nelson into the NBA. He can be a one and done. Jaron Stevenson might be a one and done. I think you're probably going to get him for 2 years, but you're now, what you've done on the guard side, what you've done with the guards of Colin Sexton, J.D. Davidson, and really, I know Brandon Miller, not a true guard, more wing side, but what you've done with ball handlers, Kyra Lewis, you've put ball handlers into the NBA, Nate Oates, and now you put Herb Jones and now Noah Clowney into the NBA. You're going to follow that up this coming up year with Grant Nelson for sure, and you never know who's going to follow him. I think unbelievable. I mean, we all love Coach Saban, and no disrespect to Coach Saban, but really the ability to go out for Greg Byrne, 4 years ago, and to identify Nate Oates as the next big thing in college basketball, someone who's going to work very hard, someone who's playing a modern style of game, and someone who's going to recruit his tail off. Just bow down over and over to Greg Byrne. Now, of course, you want to get the new basketball arena built. You do, but really, Nate Oates has just been an absolute wizard since he's come to Tuscaloosa. And again, still one scholarship available, one scholarship remaining for the 2023 roster. I don't see Alabama filling it. I think that Alabama is going to go with kind of what the Tide did last year, going with 12 men on the roster, 12 scholarship players on the roster, leaving the one scholarship available in case something happens down the line. We saw last year Davin Cosby enrolled early and basically filled that scholarship. Never got any time, but enrolled early, got himself thrown out of the Auburn game, got himself kicked out of the Auburn game. Oh, that was a mess and a half. But I think Alabama's going to go into the year with the 12 scholarships with one open, just to kind of leave a little flexibility in case some weirdness happens down the line. So there's your basketball talk about Brandon Miller. Having a meh summer league debut on Monday. He's going to go back at it today. And then he's also going to be playing on Saturday against Victor Wembanyama. So really looking forward to that. Now, Mohamed Wague is officially a member of the Alabama Crimson Tide team. Now, I looked down at my notes, and no, that's not the end of the basketball talk. I got one more note on basketball. Javon Quinterly. You guys know Javon Quinterly. We love him. Maybe you don't. Maybe you hate him. I loved him. I know that, his style rubbed some people the wrong way because of his penchant for dribbling the basketball. I loved it. I love the flash and dash of Javon Quinterly. I am going to miss him. But news out of Javon Quinterly's camp says that Javon Quinterly is visiting or in contact with Memphis. And Memphis is an interesting name, is an interesting spot for me. Memphis would be a surprise, in my opinion, only because I expected him to go up north. I expected him to go, yes, Memphis is north of Tuscaloosa. But not north. Come on. I expected him to go up to the northeast. I expected him to go up to St. John's, up to Seton Hall, up to one of these northeastern programs closer to home. Now, Memphis is a bad fit for him. No, if he goes to Memphis, he can probably be the 1 or 2 point guard. Basically, Memphis right now, you got Jaden Hardaway and Mikey Williams playing for Memphis right now. And now Memphis, so they need a guard. And you guys know Penny Hardaway plays up there at Memphis. He's been in the college game for a handful of years now. NBA legend, always, massively respected by the kids and by true hoopers. Everybody knows Penny was the man back in the days, late 90s, early 2000s. What was it? The mini Hardaway, the mini Penny, the little Penny commercials that he used to have. He was the man with Orlando, an incredible player. Now, I do think that, that's not a bad place for him to go. That's not a bad place for him to end up. Now, I would like to see him more in the northeastern area just because of the hometown connection. But what I really want is for JQ to go where he wants to go and for JQ to find the fit that he wants. Is Memphis coming in with a large financial commitment? I'd say it's likely. If you're going to lure Javon Quinterly to your campus, you're going to have to offer. I think you're going to have to offer a substantial NIL package. Because as Hunter Johnson told us last Friday on the program, Alabama had committed a rather large NIL package to Javon Quinterly. So I know people say, oh, you transfer out, and we don't care about you anymore. I am interested to see where Javon Quinterly goes. I'm going to be cheering for him in his final year. I'm hopeful that he goes to a place where his talents are accentuated. His talents can be put on display. Now, I don't expect him to go to the NBA after 1 year at wherever college he goes to. I expect him to probably be playing in Europe or, in Europe or in a foreign league somewhere. I think he's going to make money playing professional basketball. I just don't know if it's going to be in the NBA. I think I think if I have this right, he's in the same recruiting class. I think he's in the same recruiting class as Zion Williamson. And look, you all know the drama that's going on with Zion, but that same recruiting class, Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, I think that's the Ja Morant recruiting class. Those guys are already in the league like 3 or 4 years now. And so for JQ to not have made it, I think that he's kind of figured out what his path's going to be. He's going to go one more year in college, make himself some money stateside, and then probably hit it big on the foreign tour. Hit it big in a foreign professional league. Excuse me. All right, let's spin it real quick to baseball, Alabama baseball. Yeah, woohoo! It's been a couple of weeks since we've talked Alabama baseball, but I want to talk about a little breaking news this morning. Jim Wells, you all remember Jim Wells, 1995 to 09, head coach right here at the Capstone. Jim Wells was selected for the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame, the class of 2024. He goes in with 10 other, he's joined by several other head coaches, Cal Bailey, Danny Hall of Georgia Tech, Pat McQuaid, Jim Morris, Brian O'Connor. So he's going in with several other, Jeff Willis. He's going up with several other college baseball coaches. And so look, Jim Wells basically his birth. Really, Alabama baseball has not seen the success since Jim Wells has departed in 2009. Look, he's the all-time winningest coach here at Alabama, 625 and 322 across 15 years. Whew. Basically a 2-1 winning record. He includes 259 wins in SEC play. Look, he took Alabama to 3 of its 5 College World Series appearances, making it in 96, 97, and 99. Went to 12 NCAA regionals, won 3 SEC Western titles, 2 regular season titles, 6 SEC tournament championships. So really amazing coach, amazing legacy as we continue on down his resume. SEC Coach of the Year, both in 1996 and in 2002. Jim Wells, we had Andy Phillips on the program maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago on a Friday to kind of preview the Alabama Super Regional or regional round right here in Tuscaloosa. And he talked a lot about Jim Wells. He called him the most organized baseball mind, the smartest baseball mind he's ever been around. And we all know that really you did the renovations to the Joe after Jim Wells's departure. I know that he really wanted that to occur during his tenure there, but the baseball program has not really, let's be honest, been the same since Wells' departure. Do we love what we saw over the last 8 weeks this past season with Jason Jackson? Absolutely. Do we hope that Rob Vaughn keeps it going this coming up year? Absolutely. But you got to give homage. You got to really, really respect, and you've got to give tip of the cap to Jim Wells being named to the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Really, the highest honor for coaches, for college baseball coaches, and it is past time that he found himself into the Hall of Fame. The ABCA was founded in 1945. The Hall of Fame beginning in 1966. The 2024 ABCA Hall of Fame induction ceremony will be held on January 5th out there in Grapevine, Texas. So on January 5th, Jim Wells will be officially inducted into the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. And we really want to salute and give a tip of the cap to Jim Wells, baseball coach right there. Really made his hay and really birthed the baseball program that we know today. And hopefully Rob Vaughn can take a step forward on what we've been building over the last 6 or 7 weeks. All right, so that's kind of what I've got on my notes for the list, but I've got a bunch of tabs across my computer. We're going to run through those because there are a lot of smaller stories on the day. Not really enough for like huge topics, but stories that caught my eye. What are we going to do? What are we going to do first? We'll just go left to right. We'll go left to right. I want to talk about, my man Chris Walsh. Chris Walsh, the boss man on BamaCentral.com, has continued his 5x5 series, and I want you all to read it. I want you to check it out on BamaCentral.com. You can check out all of his 5x5. So far, he has done specialists. He's done centers, cornerbacks, defensive tackles, and specialists. I want to talk about, and tight ends. Let's see. So he's taken position groups and basically named the top 5 Nick Saban players at those position groups. I'm just very interested at his on his topic defensive ends right here. Defensive ends was a couple of days ago. He outlines it's kind of threadbare. When you look at defensive ends here in the Nick Saban era, of course, Jonathan Allen is number one, and that's Chris's pick because it's the easiest and the obvious pick. There's nothing wrong with taking the obvious pick. There's no one to challenge Jonathan Allen as a defensive end. When you look at the Alabama roster, you look at Alabama football over the last handful, really over the 15 years, 16 years that Coach Saban has been in charge, you're really looking at defensive ends who are really more like defensive tackles and outside linebackers or edge rushers, jack linebackers who are really more like outside guys. So you kind of convoluted this defensive end. All right, so I'll just tell you. Chris Walsh goes 5-1. Quentin Dial, Jeffrey Pagan, Ed Stinson, Damian Square, and Jonathan Allen. Now, Jonathan Allen easily the number one. But if you ask yourself, okay, I don't recognize 2 through 5, you may or may not be a diehard Alabama fan. Damian Square still playing in the NFL, I believe. Ed Stinson made it to the league. Quentin Dial made it to the league. Look, it's really interesting. All of these guys made it to the NFL, but it's really interesting to see, Nick Saban, master of defense. Looking through some of these defensive linemen, look, I mean, I'm going through other names on this list. Deshaun Hand, Yabi Anoma, Antonio Alfano. Yeah, those two names will give you PTSD. Yabi Anoma and Antonio Alfano. You're looking at the highest rated recruits right there on that list. You look at LeBrian Ray, also one of the highest rated recruits. Justin Aboigbe still on the roster. Curtis Perry, just a freshman on the roster. Look, Quentin, you look at who else? Wallace Gilberry was one of the best defensive. So for such a strong Coach Saban always churning out defenders left and right. First round draft picks left and right. For such a penchant of developing talent and producing talent for the NFL, I think it's very interesting that you look at the defensive end position. Look at the defensive end position across time, and other than Jonathan Allen, there really hasn't ever been a superstar type player. There really hasn't been a superstar type, leader that, you've got the Superman sack for Jonathan Allen. And obviously he find himself in Heisman Trophy voting. I believe he was 5th or 6th, something like that. Obviously won the Nagurski Award, was very well respected. Huge leader here at the capstone. But outside of Jonathan Allen, slim pickings when you think about true defensive ends in the Nick Saban era. So we'll keep watching the 5x5 series that our man Chris Walsh is running. Chris Walsh, the head man in charge here at BamaCentral.com. Follow him at Writing Walsh on the Twitter machine. And yeah, okay, I'll just spin it. We'll go one more to continue the theme. Here was his top 5 specialists. This is kickers. This is punters. This is kickers, punters, and that's all we got. Kickers. Okay, so number 5, he has a tie at number 5. Three long snappers: Cole Mazza, Thomas Fletcher, and Carson Tinker. Look, the long snapper, if you never know their name, that is the best long snapper because they've never snapped the ball over the holder, over the punter's head. Cole Mazza, Thomas Fletcher, Carson Tinker, all 3 of them making it into the NFL as long snappers. So easy pickings at number 5. Number 4, I know Adam Griffith gets a lot of hell because he was the kicker on the kick 6. But Adam Griffith, turned himself into being a fairly strong kicker here with the Alabama Crimson Tide. So Chris Walsh puts him as the 4th best specialist all time in the Nick Saban era. Number 3, probably my personal favorite, Lee Tiffin. Probably my first personal favorite because I was a freshman at the capstone in 2008, Lee Tiffin's junior year, where Lee Tiffin really started to ascend as a quality kicker. His junior and senior year, just incredibly consistent at the capstone, helping Alabama win the 2009 national championship. And really, just a little full disclosure, I worked for the football team that season, and I was assigned to the special team. So Lee and I just became not great friends, but friend Lee. And he was such a nice guy. And so really, Lee, wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. Number 3 is probably a great spot for you on this list, as I think you are massively underrated in the Nick Saban era, massively underappreciated as a kicker. A lot of people talk about kicking woes. really, Lee Tiffin's junior and senior year were very, very strong. He had more kicking woes after that, but Lee Tiffin, strong, junior and senior year. Love you, sir, and I hope you're doing very well wherever you are. Number two, Will Riker, already on him, or still on the roster. Still on the roster, but what, 2 years ago, didn't miss a single kick? Was that it? And just has been extremely consistent since his freshman year. He came in to Tuscaloosa from Hoover and has been just a steadying force here at the capstone as a kicker. And so, look, you think about one of the biggest things in the offseason. You've talked a lot about it being a transitional offseason and how important it is for Nick Saban to get it right and to make the right moves. It was huge for Nick Saban to get Will Riker to return for a super senior year, a COVID super senior year. Yeah, maybe he could have gone into the NFL. Maybe he could have tried out for a professional team, but he opts instead to return to the capstone, gets himself some more NIL opportunities with some, Dr. Scholl's and some orthotics, some footwear, NIL. I love that. I don't know that Will Riker has the NFL leg, but the college accuracy has been an absolute gift for Alabama over the last couple of years. And honestly, you should appreciate every single time he goes out there this year because, I'm hoping you see Connor Talty waiting in the wings. I'm hoping Connor Talty will keep the consistency going from the kicker position. But one more year of Will Riker, let us really enjoy it. And lastly, number one's obvious. It's J.K. Scott. Number one is J.K. Scott because he is like Mr. Thunderfoot. He could punt the ball. Oh my gosh, just outside the universe. And so J.K. Scott, over the course of 4 years, really consistently flipping the field for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And then he found himself so good, he got himself drafted. I think J.K. Scott, hugely underrated. You all see what you got right now in James Burnett. Not terrible, but not great. J.K. Scott just always consistently catching the punt and booming the punt, letting them go. I don't know that J.K. ever had one block. And so J.K. Scott comes in at number one for my man Chris Walsh's all-time five best specialists in the Nick Saban era. Let's keep it going. All right, my next little short story is Colin Simmons. Colin Simmons, if you don't know about him, he's a 2024 five-star prospect out of the state of Texas. He's an edge rusher, and look, he's uncommitted right now. He's got every single football school at Texas, Alabama, Georgia, everybody who's anybody after him. And Colin Simmons, yesterday, day before, puts out a little social media photo of him working out with a superstar, a legend, a Heisman Trophy winner. No, he wasn't working out with Herschel Walker. He wasn't working out with Ricky Williams or anybody in Texas. He wasn't working out with, who else can I think of? Reggie Bush for USC. No, he was working out with Derrick Bleepin' Henry. Our man, El Tractorcito, Derrick Henry, still on the recruiting trail for Alabama. Amazing. Obviously, he's continuing his career with the Tennessee Titans and preparing for a new season with the Tennessee Titans and going to probably take over and continue to own the NFL's rushing title. But Derrick Henry working out with Colin Simmons shows me, one, that Derrick Henry is still invested in the Alabama Crimson Tide to a degree. I mean, it's not his main focus, I'm sure, but what's the harm in letting an elite athlete work out with you? What's the harm in seeing, let's find out about this kid, Colin Simmons. I'm sure the guys worked hard together, had a great workout together. They put up a photo, both of them shooting up the deuces and really flexing, both of them covered in sweat. I don't pretend to imagine what it's like working my body that hard. Yes, I did high school workouts and high school football stuff, but come on, I never was in that level, that Derrick Henry level. And we all know the Derrick Henry off-season workouts are insane. We see the videos every single year with him doing, running up a hill, doing crazy strength and conditioning, crazy resistance bands, and all kinds of wild balancing acts. Derrick Henry keeping himself in tip-top shape. And I think it's very, very interesting that he spent some time day before, working out with elite defensive end, outside linebacker, edge rusher Colin Simmons. And I'm talking 5-star, I'm talking top 10 player in the entire class in the entire 2024 class. So Colin Simmons is that important. And I think it's very, very cool that that Derrick Henry is working out with him and taking a photo, getting the photo op. You obviously, dude, if I'm working out with Derrick Henry, even for 5 seconds, I'm going to say, hey, man, will you take a selfie with me as you kick my butt, as you kick me into oblivion, as you send my heart rate into overdrive? Because I'm sure that is what's going on with those guys. All right, that's going to do it for my program today. I really appreciate everybody watching us. Look, a ton of people tuned in yesterday to the program with Mr. Caden Jones. I really appreciate that. I appreciate Caden Jones. I appreciate his coach, Coach Walker, setting us up. Everybody at Christ School is setting us up with Caden. He was super, super friendly and very open with us. If you missed that, you can watch it on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, anywhere that you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Amazon. You can just look up the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. So look, we're going to close it down for a Wednesday. Tomorrow on the show, I want to remind you, we're going to be joined by Giles Amos. Giles Amos, former Alabama tight end. He was tight end right here from 2016 to 2019. He also spent 2020 with Arkansas State, the Red Wolves. So we're going to talk to Giles Amos tomorrow, really about his career, his time at the Capstone. We'll talk to him about the tight end room right now. Amari Niblack, CJ Dupree, everybody loaded up for the new season. We'll talk to him about Tommy Reese, really about everything Alabama football related with Giles Amos tomorrow on the program. So that's going to do it for me today on a Wednesday. We encourage you guys to like, review, subscribe, tell somebody about the program, and of course, tell somebody about our brother and sister programs, All Things Bama and Blue Collar Unplugged, the other programs on the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network. We appreciate our man Chris Walsh putting us on each and every day. We appreciate you, the listener, watching us. Tell a friend, and we'll be back tomorrow with Giles Amos, Alabama tight end 2016 to 2019. That's going to do it for our today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.